seat, the city council. He vacated his seat to go to the Mason County board there, and so that created this open seat for the next year. And so somebody is going to be appointed to this position potentially tonight. And there are 5 candidates. We're going to be talking with 4 of those candidates here on the morning show this morning. And we are joined with one of the candidates already this morning. Then come November of next year, then either that particular candidate, if he or she wants to continue, but there will be an election that will happen, and somebody will vie for that seat. This morning, we're talking with Mark Rogers. He is live with us in the studio. And Mark, good morning to you, and thanks for coming in.
Good morning to you too. Thank you.
I appreciate you for coming in this morning. If we threw out the first question, which probably people will want to know, which is why are you wanting to fill this vacancy on city council? What's your answer to that, if you don't mind?
Well, it started a couple years ago. Actually, I was thinking about running for the 3rd Ward when Les Johnson decided to run. However, things were not in play at that time, and so I backed off. And so now that there's an open seat, I thought I'd throw my hat in the ring, so to speak, and see if I can make a difference in the city.
And so, going back when you wanted to vie for that seat, when Les was on the city council, then why did you want to do it back then? Is that the same vision that you have now? And if you don't mind being specific a little bit about that.
That is the same vision. I see some of the things. I see the direction that the city is going in, and I'd like to help them steer that in there. Also, I see some of the other negatives and see if we can't merge those into a little bit more positive scheme of things.
Absolutely. Let's talk about some of the positives. If somebody were to move into, let's say, the 3rd Ward, which is from Haight from the north down to Pierre Marquette Lake. You've got from Rose Street to the Lake Shore, that particular section of Ludington, which is a lot of the business district obviously is in there. You've got the harbor there. The Badger sits in there, and that's going to be a big hot topic coming up as we hopefully see that back in operation next year. But if you had to say, hey, this is why we love Ludington so much, what do you say, and what would you say as a city council member?
Well, I guess we'll start on the positives, and that's you mentioned the downtown area. We have the 4th of July parade. We have the fireworks with the New Year's ball drop, so on. So we're lucky enough to have enough space to have the Clydesdales coming into town. So it's good downtown attractions, and brings the business to the local restaurants, and so that's
okay. All right, and then I don't mind to put you on the spot, but what are some of the, I do mind to put on your spot, to tell you the truth, is some of the concerns that you have with the Ludington area that, as a city councilor for Ludington, you might be able to change, you might be able to enhance or improve. How do you address that?
Well, for example, the homeless situation. We do have a need for housing. Myself being in that type of business, there's some things that I went to the city meeting last night, and there's some things that are in works right now. And yes, obviously all that takes time. We just can't open up a warehouse and throw them in there. It has to be safe and so on. So with my experience with that, hopefully I can bring some of that to the table and work with not only the government, the city, and also the private sector. Those 3 things I think have to come together and have really good communication on each other's part and move forward.
You had mentioned off the air to both Janelle and I that you have some concerns in regards to how counselors, not necessarily Ludington, but just experience that you've seen out there, that they should know more about the projects and the ideas ahead of them and stuff like that. Do you mind elaborating a little bit more on those thoughts?
Sure. So, along with what I see on some friends that I have on the county board, township boards, and so on, there's some officials that they get their information only hours before their meeting, and they're making their decisions off of that. To me, I think that you need to do your research, get all the data that you can, and then when you're going to make your decision, make sure that you take your ego out of the equation. You have to rely on the facts that are in front of you, all the data, and go from there.
Okay. All right. Do you see yourself as somebody that would fill this seat on city council, again, the third ward position open, and then come November of next year, could continue that, go up the election process, convince the voters, and if so, how would you convince the voters come next November?
Well, hopefully, within that year and 1 month's time, there'll be some projects that come forward, and you'll be able to see my track record and how I vote and how I do the research and stuff like that. And so, yeah, you definitely put me on the spot. I should have known better. I've seen you in the past.
No, you're doing great. I think you're doing great.
But I mean, we're right now. This is fairly new. Mm-hmm. We don't know exactly what the topics will be at hand, but there again, it seems like, I guess, if you run on all the other stuff, we're looking for younger age, more enthusiasm. Again, my biggest thing, I guess, on my campaign trail is communication. Mm-hmm. I understand that as long as the lines of communication are open and you do your research and rely on that, mm-hmm. and I guess at the end of the day, if you're doing something and it comes from your heart, then that's what you should be doing. There
you go. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, when you are on the radio or in front of a TV camera or anything like that, you're going to be nervous. I always get nervous. Janelle gets nervous. But I will tell you this, people want to see authenticity. And if you can be an authentic person and express that those features about you, that's going to be important. Mm-hmm. So we'll leave the last part up to you, and that is, if you don't mind, as you see with any sort of debate and everything else out there, this is an opportunity for you to tell those that are listening. They're not voting on this one, but they might vote for you in the future. And so the question that I have is, in your own words, tell those people in that third ward why you should be that third ward counselor. Do you mind doing that for us right now?
Sure. Again, you hit on that. Do I have the political experience that some of the other candidates have? No. However, I am like other political candidates that start from behind the scenes. That's where I kind of like to thrive, is fundraising and stuff like that, and stay out of the picture. But I'm moving forward and getting my face out there. And so I lost my train of thought real quick.
That's okay.
Yeah, I feel like even like being behind the scenes and whatnot, that's almost the best way to go, because you know what the people need to, what the council will need to change. So I think like putting your foot out there and getting familiar and whatnot, I think would really benefit from that.
Yep, thanks. Yeah, and yeah, so I like you said, I still get nervous when the camera's on. However, that doesn't deter deter me from doing what should be done.
There you go. Absolutely. And in most cases, there's not a lot of cameras at city council meetings, right? Except for the one that streams it. And truly, as you said, you're there, and you haven't been in a seat of politics, a political seat at all before. Is that correct?
My other organization, the Freemasons of Michigan, I do sit on the board of general purposes, which relies on the rules and regulations of that. And so I am familiar with that. I was on the bargaining committee for the UAW when I worked at Great Lakes Castings. Okay. So I understand how some of the legislature and stuff needs to be written.
All right. Sounds fair. And you went first today of our 4 candidates that are going to be here. So we appreciate you doing that and being with us this morning. Anything else before we wrap up that you want to express to those individuals that live in the 3rd Ward or any potential voters in the future there?
Just, again, my platform is communication. You hear that all the time. My door's always open. However, when it comes right down to it, no, they're not. And I'm not going to be that way. You can call me, email me, text me. I still text.
Great, good.
So,
yeah. All right, sounds good. Well, we appreciate you, Mark, for coming in and hanging out with us for a couple of minutes this morning. Coming up tonight, there's a special council meeting at the City Council chambers in Ludington to potentially seat that 3rd Ward, fill that 3rd Ward vacancy. It has to be filled by the 19th of this month, per our conversation with Mitch Foster yesterday. Whoever it is from the candidates that will be joining us this morning, and those 5 candidates that will be there tonight, you're going to actually stand up for a couple minutes tonight, kind of, and then that tonight is your way to talk directly to the city council, because those council members are the ones who are going to be deciding, at least tonight, on that position. You feel confident and feel comfortable?
Hopefully I'll be a little bit more after this. I'll be more confident.
See, this is your warm up. There you go.
There you go.
Absolutely, you did great, Mark, and we appreciate you. And you've been on the air with us before. We'll certainly have you on in the future to talk about the Salisbury steak, the dinners, right? And
Swiss steak.
Swiss steak. Yep, Swiss steak dinners in the future. So, Mark, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You got it. It is 8:33 here on 102.7 WMOM and Hot Country Hits 99.9. Coming up in a few minutes, we're going to have our next candidate on as well, and that is Melissa Reed. We'll be chatting with her coming up in a few minutes as we feature 4 of the candidates vying for 3rd Ward counselor for the city.